Hello there, folks. Welcome back to the channel. This is Levenot, aka, well, I'm not on my aka anymore, but anyway, this is Levenot back on the channel. How you doing today? Just wanted to come to you guys and be really excited. First off, I'm back in a draft league. I know it's like, when was this guy last in a draft league? Probably before your mother was, you know, giving birth to you, probably. It's been a long time. Anyway, the point is that I have been gone for a long time and just wanted to get back into a draft league that actually, you know, with reputable stuff going on and whatnot, and kind of go from there and just see what I could do, see if I was still even any good or whatnot. And I've been really impressed with myself on Showdown. I've been consistent with not being absolute rubbish pile of garbage. So I wanted to see, you know, how I was doing in draft league sense, because obviously I build more of my rosters that I use in laddering more around the draft league context, less around the actual how does it work best in the ladder. I don't know why, but just how I've always been. I guess, you know, it's hard to be good in both formats, if it makes any sense at all. I mean, actually, I think you're probably a better battler if you're better in the actual Showdown ladder than if you are in the draft league format, but what do I know? I'm also a moron. True story. Anyway, we're back with the Krash League. Really good group of battlers. I'm going to have a description of all the battlers that actually have channels or Twitches or Twitters or Gibbles or Pibbles or whatnot in the links below. Make sure to check that out. Before we go any further, make sure to drop a like and a subscribe if you're new to the channel. Also, hello. Anyway, real talk. So, this draft league is a GBA context draft league. It is essentially going to be one that, when I say GBA, I'm talking about traditional GBA, not this year's Uber baloney sandwich that's been really awkward and unable to follow because everyone's freaking battling with things that don't belong in the actual draft format because of just how ridiculous they are and how much they centralize the meta. Enough said. Anyway, now that we're back on that, it was the regular 11-man draft. Tiers 1 through 5 and mega tiers. Obviously, certain megas allow you to have extra points, certain megas take away points, or not take away points, but just, you know, are worth, don't give you extra points. If you take a low tier mega, you can get more points on the board, and vice versa. If you take a high tier mega, you don't get extra points on the board. Blah 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 blah. We do have dedicated Z users. Z users, they give you a points-based system out of the Pokemon that you've drafted, up to 180 points, which can only equal 3 Pokemon maximum, no matter which ones you choose. That being said, let's start off. We were drafting 14th in the draft, and really, for us to get going, we really wanted to start off our team with something that wasn't going to be a glass cannon, but wasn't also going to be a complete flop that could take hits, that could deal damage, but also gave us something. Somehow this Mon fell all the way to us at 14 or wherever the heck we were drafting at. I think it was either 14 or 12. What draft position was I drafting at again? This is embarrassing. I need to go find this out just to make sure. I was paying attention, I swear. We were drafting 16, 15, 14. We were drafting 12th. So 12th is actually a pretty consistently bad pick in the draft. That makes sense because you already miss in that first round the OPAF stuff, traditionally the OPAF stuff that you have to, that everyone's like, oh my gosh, I want this one, and grab that really instantly. So you miss that kind of stuff, and you're still not quite close enough to the end of the board, where you're just like, okay, I'm excited. I may not get the first share, but I get to have the wheel pick, or right next to a wheel pick. Like pick number 15 and 16 in the draft board are actually just as good as pick 1 and 2. They really are, because at the end of the day, I'm getting more of an opportunity to have a less opportunity for things to get sniped, essentially. Life is life, things are strife. So I picked up Tapu Fini. By the way, for those of you guys who aren't aware, you're wondering probably, why is there just a giant absolute blank space at the top of the screen right now? So, in addition to showing you my actual Mons that I picked up as well as their base stat totals, I'm also going to show you my spreadsheet. This is my spreadsheet. This is literally what I use every single day whenever I battle. I've been using it for 2+ years. Now granted, well actually 3+ years. Granted, I have been gone for a long time, so obviously some Pokemon don't have as many battles as probably they should or could. So essentially, it's one of those type of opportunities for me to get better. For instance, Tapu Fini is one that I really wanted to use. By the way, if you're looking at the columns essentially are as follow. Very, very far left is going to be my nickname that I usually use for that Pokemon, and by usually I mean I just use that nickname. Next number is the actual. Next column is the actual Pokemon itself, followed by typing, followed by number of appearances. Appearances mean that I've either used it as the active Pokemon for at least one turn in a combat. Just being on the roster does not mean it's an active battle, because I don't believe that you've actually affected the game unless you've actually touched the ground. Granted, you have just by being present, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, real talk. So that big number on the first of the numbers is the number of appearances. Second number is the number of kills that Pokemon has received. Third number is the number of deaths that Pokemon has received. Then we have the 3-point numbers on the very, very far edge. The first of those point ones is going to be the KPA, or kills per appearance. Obviously, for certain Pokemon, we want to have a very high KPA. Other Pokemon, it's not really important if they have a high KPA. Next number is going to be the DPA. DPA is deaths per appearance. This number obviously cannot go above 1. It would be impossible for a Pokemon to be above 1, because obviously you can't die more than once in a battle. True story. So, you know, the goal here is to have as low of a DPA as possible. If I have a really low DPA, like below 0.5, I've probably not used it enough, just being honest with you, for the most part. And then, of course, the final column is the most important column out of everything, in my opinion, and that is going to be the actual kill-death efficiency. This is basically the number of kills per the number of deaths, the KDA, essentially. And so, basically, it's really important for me to look at the overall offensive efficiency. Basically, in my opinion, it's KDA, but really it means offensive efficiency. So I use this in a lot of times whenever I'm picking teams in the Showdown ladder, whenever I'm picking draft teams. I've always used this document. Now, granted, it's just a document. It doesn't really mean anything unless I give it context. So, if the way I play in my play style affords a Pokemon a terrible advantage just because of the way I play, it doesn't mean it's a bad Pokemon. It just means that I suck at it. It's just the way it works. So, like for instance, for Tapu Fini, Tapu Fini had everything that I wanted as far as a first-round draft pick, being something that's a great core Pokemon to build off of, both covering the water and the fairy core, which are, you know, two things that are really important in draft format. Is always the water fire grass core, which I said that weird because it's fire water grass core, but same thing. And then of course the dragon fairy steel core. Those are the two kind of backbone cores that every, you know, big time battler will always talk about for a draft league format team. And so it was super important to get the first component of that team put together with Tier 1 Tapu Fini. Gives me a great bulk on both defensive and specially defensive medium speed tier, with the opportunity to be a really solid main attacker. Also, of course, Misty Surge is very interesting and awesome to use as far as keeping status effects away from my team. I like that very much. Overall, I've used him very efficiently in 45 appearances in the showdown and league tier battles. I have never used it in the league, but so I'm kind of curious to see how it works in league. So this is showdown exclusively. I have a 0.64 KPA, a 0.58 DPA, which is very efficient, and then a 1.12 KDA, which is really awesome. So, going on to pick 2. Pick 2 was coming up pretty quickly. I knew exactly what I wanted from my main first 3 picks, which was I was going to basically finish out my fire, water, grass core. And it just so happened that I looked over my picks and I go, which one of these next 2 picks has the best chance of not making it for another 25 picks? So I picked up Mega Venusaur. Super important for me to pick up Mega Venusaur. After I already picked up Tapu Fini, it's one of the Pokemon I'm most comfortable with in the entire history of my battling. If you notice, it's at the very, very top of my Showdown ladder list. You may ask yourself, how do I actually annotate the list and sort it? I sort it by difference, by the KD differential, the actual difference amount. Reason why I do it like that is so that way Pokemon that I have played like twice don't end up at the very top of the list. Because I'm not really interested in seeing, like, something I've used twice in League play, and it just happened to work both times at the very top of my list. It doesn't mean I'm actually comfortable or good with it. Anyway, so now that we basically covered that, Cytoplasm, aka my Mega Venusaur, is something that I've used very efficiently over a long term. Mega Venusaur, as you know, basically removes itself both its ice weakness and its fire weakness with its ability Thick Fat. It doesn't actually remove it, but it does remove it. It's basically removing it. Just enjoy the fact that it's true. Anyway, so with that, you got to understand Mega Venusaur does great with Tapu Fini, simply because the things that Tapu Fini struggles with, Mega Venusaur just enjoys and loves them. And in all honesty, that's kind of how it works in reverse with Tapu Fini. The things that hurt Venusaur, Tapu Fini is more likely to be able to take. Not 100%, but at the same time better active to take. Mega Venusaur, as you can see, great special attacker, decent regular attack, again a medium speed tier, and a great bulk on both defensive and special defensive. We have two really good wall Pokemon. All-time Mega Venusaur is my number 2 best Pokemon that I've ever used as far as everything going on. Now granted, obviously there are certain Pokemon that if I just played them a lot more, I would be higher on the list with them. However, it's when you have a Pokemon who over this period of usage has done this good for you, it's insane, and it's one of those that has to be taken advantage of whenever you have the opportunity to. I've used him 288 times in my life in the Showdown ladder as an adult, and I've had a KPA of 1.03 throughout all of that, a DPA of 0.59. 0.59 DPA means that the simple fact of its existence in a battlefield means that I'm going to survive the battle more than 40% of the time with Mega Venusaur on the field. That means I have a survival rate of 40% or higher. I have a survival rate of 41% with Mega Venusaur in battle. That means that I want to keep it on the roster. Also, I have a KD ratio of 1.73. Very efficient, very helpful. So anyway, it's about 20 picks, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, please God, let this core finish out nicely. Let the thing that I want most fall to me. And guess what? My top of my ladder Pokemon of all time ends up being on that biscuit. That is, of course, Heatran. Heatran is a Pokemon that I've used over 300 times in Showdown and League play, and has been just an absolute monster for me. More of its differential comes from League play than actual Showdown ladder. Showdown ladder, I end up tending to be a little bit positive, but nowhere near as positive as I have been in the League format. A KPA of 1.03, a DPA of 0.62. So it dies a bit more often, has a little bit less of a KD differential than Mega Venusaur, but is one that is such a great backbone Pokemon that does multiple things for my team. It provides me with a fire immunity with Flash Fire. It provides me with the opportunity to basically eat up fairy attacks. It really likes to eat fairy attacks. It's a Pokemon that is a rock setter. It's a Pokemon that is a strong fire Pokemon. It has a great special attack, and once again, medium speed tier, great defense, great special defense. X4 ground weakness, oh well, biscuits and beer will make it work. It's all good in the hood, because now I've got an amazing fire water grass core of Tapu Fini, Mega Venusaur, and Heatran. Talk about happiness. I'm in a great mood at that point. Next pick around, it comes back goes to the end of the wheel, comes back around. I pick up a Pokemon that, again, I'm very, very familiar with, very confident with, very competent with. That is Cresselia, aka Big Girl herself, Crescent. I felt so happy getting this Pokemon. It's one that's not necessarily needed for my draft, but it's one that I really, really wanted to have for my draft because it gives me a non-flying type immunity to ground. Yes. Thank you. I will check that off the box and have it every single time of the week and twice on Sunday. This is, again, the 4th Pokemon that I've picked up in a row with over 100 in both defense and special defense. What can I say? I like them thick. I like my big girls. I'm just kidding around. No, I'm not kidding around. I like the big girls. What's up, big girls? Love you. Anyway, true story. In reality, what this pick came down to was essentially another Pokemon that gives me options. And what I love about options is that options gives me options. Gives me options, gives me options. Cresselia is a Pokemon that's versatile in completely how it can be used. It can be a sweeper. It can be a stop wall. It can be a breaker. It can be a setup sweeper. When I say sweeper, it's more of a setup sweeper, but I'm talking about sweeper. But, the point is that it has enough speed to be able to do whatever I want. If I really wanted to scarf it and be crazy, I could scarf it and be crazy. If I really wanted to just bulk it up and make him thick so hard that not even God could take it down, then yeehaw. We can do a lot of things with Cresselia. It's a big reason why I love Big Girl. She works so well. Again, a DPA of 0.62, which honestly I was super happy with at this point because I picked up essentially 4 Pokemon that can be the backbone of my entire team in a lot of ways and really be a need to address thing for any of my opponents in any team prep. And literally all 4 of them have a survival rate of almost 40% for me. So I'm feeling really good. Life is good in the hood. What can I say? I'm a psychopath. Anyway, this next Pokemon, I don't really remember if I have it that much on the board. There it is. I never really used it that much, and it was kind of one of those that I just kind of picked it up because, life is weird, why not grab it? So it comes back around again. I'm like, let's go ahead and finish off the Fairy Steel Dragon Core. And boom, I pick up Goodra. Why not pick up Goodra? Gudra's a pseudo-legendary with a great overall stat base total, which again, those kind of things are important to me. Base stat totals are important to me. The ability to survive fights is important to me. Life in general is important to me. So when I have Goodra on there, I basically gave myself a Pokemon that can also help me keep Tapu Fini alive. Sapsipper. Anyway, the point is with Goodra's not a Pokemon that I've been as efficient with or played anywhere near as much as the other 4 that I previously mentioned. But again, it gives me more bulk, but also gives me a Pokemon that again can be a special or physical attacker. Something that Heatran can do, something that Mega Venusaur can do. They have options, and when you have options, you have options. When you have options, you win. It's just not 100% of the time, but you do have an opportunity to. Really, not the best KPA, a little bit worse DPA, still pretty good. In all honesty, if I have a DPA below 0.75, below 0.8, I consider myself efficient with that Pokemon. If I have a DPA of above 0.8, I consider myself to be reckless with that Pokemon. Or maybe it is a Pokemon that I plan to be reckless with. It's just one of those kind of things. There are certain Pokemon that just don't really work as a survivalist type, or basically aren't a win condition, or aren't a Pokemon that you're just going to have on the roster alive unless it's sweeping. It's just one of those things. And for Goodra is one of those mons that still I'm using efficiently, at least in the times that I've used it, and I'm more excited to play with it in a league format long term. True story. Morning Glory. Pure Dragon types, I don't double up on any weaknesses it already has, which is nice to do because honestly it ain't fun boo-boo when you get hit by some HP Ice with Guard Chomp and you just lose all your health and you're like, good God, I'm dead. Next Pokemon that I'm picking up is actually a variant is a Pokemon. I used a different version of this Pokemon many times. I used the other version of this Pokemon many times, but I never picked up this version of Pokemon because I wasn't actually playing Pokemon when this Pokemon came out. And that was Lycanroc-Dusk. Super excited to use Lycanroc-Dusk. First off, it has Tough Claw's ability, which essentially boosts the power of its priority move, which is its main priority move, Accelerock, which is awesome. I like that very much. Contact moves get plus on the ability. True story. It's very awesome. So anyway, one of the big things that I'm really excited about with it, again, I picked up all of this god-awful bulk. I know I say god-awful bulk, I love it. My opponents will hate it. Tapu Fini, Mega Venusaur, Heatran, Cresselia, Goodra. I mean, come on. Prepping for those 5 alone is going to make somebody want to kill themselves. I will probably have to legitimately call suicide hotline watches for some of my opponents because of just how much annoyances they're going to have prepping for this team. It's a true story. Morning Glory. Anyway, back to the point. So at this point, I've got so much bulk, but I don't have much speed. And so really, I wanted to do 2 things. I wanted to add a little bit of speed. I wanted to add another hazard setter. I wanted to add another Pokemon that can have priority access. I wanted to add a Pokemon that can break some faces, melt some faces, whatever you want to call it, and basically get me in the speed tiers above 100. So, what do? I pick up Lycanroc-Dusk. Why not? I mean, at this point, again, pure rock type, so it doesn't double up on any of the weaknesses it already has, and gives me more opportunities to get big on that chicken sandwich, whatever. Just go with it. I'm trying to talk to you guys while I actually think, and this is not working out for me very well. True story. So back on to the other thing. So we got the final few picks of the team, right? The final few picks of the team. And this is, again, we got so much bulk on the roster. This is more now about picking up Pokemon that have offensive efficiency and functions on the team that can work. We pick up Zoroark in our next pick. Zoroark is a Pokemon that I've used many, many times, and really, because of how the Pokemon works, it's a Pokemon that doesn't actually have a great survival rate for me. It still has a 0.8 survival rate, which is, about what I can expect out of a Pokemon like this that's really a utilitarian stomper. Can be a sweeper, can be a peeper, can be a leadoff batter, can be basically anything. It can be basically anything. I mean, Zoroark is awesome. He has great physical and special attack, solid speed, priority access, and the ability to be something else, or at least look like something else for your opponent, which is awesome. Also, pure dark type, so not doubling up on any of its weaknesses that it already has, while not giving me overexposure to X, Y, or Z. So, super excited about that. Happy to have Zorito back on the roster. Always a fun thing to play with. Next pick comes around, and again, this is something that I'm not trying to just pick up, like, I'm not trying to blow my everything on a bunch of craziness, or basically force myself late round to go hardcore. I pick up a Pokemon I haven't used too much in my battling career, but at the same time, it's a tier 5 steal. It's a Pokemon that I can just grab real quickly, know that I got this one thing taken care of, and go move on. That is Raichu. Raichu, I hadn't picked up an electric type yet, so it means I had no Volt Switch. At least no stab Volt Switch. Or did I even have any Volt Switch? I didn't have any Volt Switch to my knowledge. Anyway, doesn't matter. Point is that now I had Raichu. And Raichu, again, gives me a third Pokemon above 100 speed. It is the same speed as Lycanroc-Dusk, but at the same time, Lycanroc-Dusk is more about priority and less about authority. Anyway, true story. So, Raichu is in the business. Raichu's in the biscuit. Gonna make it a Triscuit cracker. Raichu is a Pokemon that I've used in the little bit that I've used Raichu, I haven't really used them in a traditional fashion. I'm not going to go into details about that because, honestly, I've forgotten. It's been years. But at the same time, I know that I played him counter to what normal people would actually do because I'm not normal people. I'm crazy. And the truth is that I'm really excited to have Raichu back on the roster and be able to make him function in a fashion that may sound weird and crazy, but actually will make you lazy. Hooker spit. Anyway, so now I picked up 3 Pokemon that are above 100 base stat total of speed. This is going to be my Lycanroc-Dusk, Zoroark, and of course Raichu. Awesome. So now I'm looking at my board and I go, holy crap! I have 6 types that I haven't even touched yet. I didn't have a flying type. I didn't have an ice type. I didn't have a ground type. I didn't have a ghost type. I didn't have a bug type, and I didn't have a fighting type. Well, okay, whatever. So, or a normal type. I didn't have a normal type either, so 7 types I didn't have. Anyway, I don't really care about normal or bug. I really just don't care about normal or bug. They don't really do much for me in my roster and basically add more weaknesses to my team, and I'm really not interested in stacking weaknesses on my roster. It's just not what I'm interested in doing right now. So, basically what it comes down to is I look at my roster and I go, okay, what could most easily benefit me right now? Right now, with what's on the board, I had a tier 3 pick available, and I go, you know what? Let's just go ahead and drop it in here. Let's get myself some Tornadus Incarnate. I've used Tornadus Incarnate in leagues in the past. Did I even use him when I battled? I think I literally just had him on the roster. I don't know. I'm a crazy person, guys, so you gotta understand, like, there are some times that you're just like, I mean, what was the point of that, homie sauce? I don't know. I really don't know what the point of that was. I think I had a point at some point, but I really just didn't have a point for it. The point is, though, about Tornadus Incarnate. Tornadus Incarnate is not a Pokemon that I have recorded fight numbers with. And for whatever reason, I'd never even used him in Battle Prep before. Wow, it's embarrassing to tell it out loud. I probably shouldn't say that. I plan on using him every single match this week, and this month, and this year. Let's go ahead and use him in every single match. All 12 matches, or however many matches we have in this league. Anyway, so, Tornadus Incarnate has Tailwind Axis. It has Prankster ability, which Prankster ability is fun. I plan on using it a ton. Anyway, true story. We're going to have a lot of fun with this. Here's the thing about Tornadus Incarnate. It's a Pokemon that has really good both physical and special attack, has speed. That's really good. It has a 111 speed, which gives me a slightly different speed tier than my other two fastest, becomes my fastest Pokemon on my team. So yes, 111 is my fastest base stat total Pokemon speed on my team. Am I scared of that? No, not really. I could have picked up Swellow at 125, but Swellow honestly is a Pokemon that unless you're going to run Flame Orb Guts, you're just going to piss yourself off. And honestly, I'm not interested in pissing myself off by doing that, because in all honesty, Swellow is a great Pokemon and all, but it's just not going to be able to provide me variations the way that Tornadus Incarnate can. True story. So, I pick up Tornadus Incarnate. It becomes very apparent to me that I'm going to now at this point, because I'm mitigating certain weaknesses, and I really just wanted to get some more hazard removal, as well as a Pokemon that just can do more things in general for me, because I'm a terrible person. So I pick up little boy over here, Sandslash. Pick up Sandslash. I don't think I have any record for Sandslash on here. If I do, it's, I just don't know where it's at. But anyway, point is that it was really important to me to put Sandslash on the roster. Sandslash, of course, is a Pokemon that had a lot to offer the team, both, of course, in being another physical attacker, or another dedicated physical attacker. Also, of course, gives me a lower speed tier to make sure to knock down against the fast speed tier in case of any kind of weirdness going on in the league. Also gave me, just again, hazard removal, hazard setting. Great thing to just pick up as far as a utilitarian pick, and really a good tier 5 steal. Something that really I wasn't in love with because of the fact that it's a lower base stat total, but at the same time, what it offers the team is what was important to me in grabbing it. So that's why I grabbed it for the roster, because I'm getting ready to bolster my power. Anyway, comes down to the final pick. I know I've been going on forever on this thing. I don't know if I've been boring you or whatnot, but it's important for me to talk a lot. Anyway, comes down to the final pick. That pick that you're just like, okay, what the heck do I need at this point? And literally, me, some friends, we're looking at the draft board, and we're like, I see something on the draft board that you can still get. And I'm like, I see it too. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, why are you still even on the draft board? Why are you still even on the draft board? You should not be sitting on the draft board in round 11 unpicked. And I was like, I have to take this. This is just too good of a thing to pick up in round 11 to be able to add to the team and just give yourself even more of something to piss your opponents off. Cofagrigus. How egregious of me to pick Cofagrigus. Literally, 11th round. Not sure how this happened. Anyway, again, amazing defense stat. Amazing special defense stat. Gives me a low speed tier, which I really wanted. The ability Mummy, which is always fun. And of course, another special attacker with decent pow-pow. This is exactly what I was looking for. I had a couple other things on my board that I would have possibly taken had this thing gotten sniped from me, but literally it was like 4 picks after I picked Sandslash, I saw Cofagrigus on the board, and me and some friends were like, that's what we're getting. And I was like, yeah, that's what we're getting. That's what we're getting. And it was one of those where I was just like, counting down the picks that I had left. I was like, all right, 17 left. All right, 13 left. 12 left. It's still here. Why is it still here? It's still here. Why is it still here? It was awesome. And then finally I got to pick it up, and boom, your biscuits get Triscuited crackers. So I have effectively 6 really good wall Pokemon that I hope to God I'm not a complete jerk and bring 6 of them one week just to piss somebody off, but maybe I will, who knows. I'm kind of a terrible person. When it came down to it, we get our Z users, and I basically decided to spend my Z users putting Goodra, Zoroark, and Raichu. Goodra, Zoroark, and Raichu. Goodra, Zoroark, and Raichu as my 3 Z users, basically spending my points to be able to make them my Z users. Really a lot of variation available. When it comes to Z users, basically what I want in Z users is somebody who, if I decided to when I use a Z crystal in place of an item, I'm not really losing much opportunity, while at the same time still gaining the opportunity to break someone's face off. That's kind of what I was looking for in those, and Zoroark, Goodra, and Raichu essentially fit the mold, and I was kind of happy about that. So going forward, when it comes down to my entire roster, it was really something that I was happy to foster. I mean, it was a good overall draft. Easily the best that I've ever had, in my opinion. I mean, when it comes down to it, I picked up a lot of great offensive weapons, a lot of things that had that bulk, a lot of things that had really good speed, decent wall breaking potential, while also being able to just sit there on your team. Because I like to sit on people sometimes. It's fun to sit on people. Reminds me of a video I did a few years ago where I paid a guy to sit on another guy and hold a picture of Cresselia. I didn't actually pay them. I just asked them really nicely. Anyway, guys, Matrix, love you, buddy. Anyway, guys, that's my draft. I know that it'll probably be a bit before we have our first match, but again, I'm super happy with the core that we picked up. I mean, literally picking those first 5 picks gave me so much stress relief as far as being able to go through the rest of my draft and be able to feel comfortable knowing that with these 5 at the back, as far as just basically a bulk stoppage setup kind of thingy, it was really important for me to just have that and be able to go forward. I'm super excited for this season because, like I said, where I'm sitting right now, I'm just trying to get my bearings back, make sure that I'm still an efficient person, make sure I'm still able to function in a match, make sure that I can actually battle still. And the Pokemon that I drafted on this roster, I'm super excited about. Hope that you are excited too. If you're not, well, I love you. Anyway, I will see you guys around. Have a wonderful night, and as always, keep your fighting tight.